He is the CEO Alta Group. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, this is the second in the series of engagement to deploy technology to assist business processes. And the first meeting we held was on the solutions on best practices in assets management. So today we shall be looking at the blockchain-based customer cycle management. Actually, the customer onboarding app that uses that can run in blockchain. Yeah. So before inviting Mr. Castillo, we have few of our members on board, and we have some of our secretariats on board too. And so some of our guests will soon join us for this meeting. So please, I will kindly urge everyone to mute your devices to avoid distractions and all that. So please put down your questions if you have any after the meeting. There'll be an opportunity for us to ask some questions where we are not actually, or actually where we want to get clarification from. So thank you so much. At this junction, may I now invite Mr. Castillo and the team to introduce themselves and take over the meeting. Thank you so much, Mr. Castillo.
Thank you very much, Ife. Well, some of you may remember that I had the privilege to join you during the 18 conference of the Equipment Leasing Association of Nigeria. And we were discussing about how leasing is really the imperative for economic development and what we can do. And I had the privilege also to share with you what we have learned from the experience about the use of technology to make our business more efficient. I have been in this business for more than 39 years. And one of the things that I have learned over the years, because one of the areas where I have been working very extensively has been what we call delinquency management. That is collecting accounts that, and dealing with credit risk. Sorry, I think that we have some echo. Echo coming. Sorry, if we can mute some of for the echo is coming. Okay, so what I wanted to share with you
devices, please.
Are we okay? Okay. Well, what I well, so what I wanted to share is essentially that over the years, I'm a lawyer by professional formation, and of course, when we started facing challenges in the business, we have been working, especially with the World Bank, trying to solve the potential downside that comes from the law. So we blame the law when we cannot collect our accounts, and we have been working for many years solving and adjusting the legislation of many countries, in particular in emerging markets. Have the privilege to work very much in East Africa, drafting the laws, and also in West Africa, in Ghana, providing guidance to the central bank on how to implement the laws. But over the years, I must confess, and we have reached to that conclusion that that's not enough. I mean, we believe that the law is going to provide a full solution. We believe that once the law provides a registration mechanism, this is going to provide a solution. And that proved not to be the case. So my final conclusion over the years is that what we are trying to do, and one of the things that we are not very good at, is knowing our customers. Last time we discussed about how we can use technology to know better our assets, which is our collateral, where we invest the money. And that's exactly the discussion we had last time. But the second one that I want to encourage today is how we use technology to better know our customers. We need to know our customers not only to prevent fraud, but also we need to know our customers to get more business from them when they are good customers, to be able to understand how they work, how their business operates in order to be able to collect. I remember that one of the main barriers when we go into collecting bad accounts is trying to research what kind of assets and what kind of business has the customer so that we can pursue that. If we have a digital application that enables us to know that beforehand, our process is going to be more efficient. So over the years, and recently, we decided to put our efforts in using technology to provide this solution. If we have the data, if we can capture the data that can help us be more efficient across the board in managing our clients, that is going to be a tremendous engine for the development of our business. So we selected for this customer knowledge lifecycle the company Tradle. They are going to introduce themselves and their capabilities, and I will encourage Simon, if you can start sharing the screen with your presentation. But to give a brief presentation, the principals of Tradle are Mr. Gene Waingrip and Mr. Simon Wilkinson. They have a very good advisor, which is Mr. Bob Trojan, also there. Bob is the former executive director of the Commercial Finance Association of the United States. He worked for many years in several large financial institutions. Actually, we worked together in one of them. That's the reason why we met. And actually, Bob is responsible for introducing us to Tradle. So with that said, I would like to pass the baton to Gene and Simon. They will explain to you how they implemented that and the work we are doing to accommodate in this technology for the equipment leasing business and the equipment leasing industry. So Gene and Simon, I'm going to give you the floor, and I'm asking you to unmute because I muted everyone to avoid the echo.
Hello, I'm Gene Waingrip, CEO and co-founder of Tradle. I'll let Simon speak through this presentation. I'll make comments as we go. Let's jump in.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Simon Wilkinson. I'm operations director for Tradle. I'm based in the UK, so a similar time zone to you. We're Tradle, and we've created a digital platform that can be used for all sorts of onboarding purposes. So today we use it for KYC, tax reporting, and any other type of digital policy. And Tradle's founded on three key technologies: blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the next generation of the cloud. As Rafael said, we've partnered with Alta Group because they chose, because we had a perfect platform for building the full lifecycle management of assets, clients, and funding in digital leasing. Tradle's been around since 2014. We were in the world's first sandbox with the FCA in the UK. That's the Financial Conduct Authority. They started the sandboxes for financial technology companies to work with banks, insurance companies, and regulators. We're a regular presenter for FATF to central banks and regulators around the world. And through our work with FATF, we now have relationships in 24 countries with regulators and central banks. Most recently, we're invited to something called GFIN, which is the Global Financial Innovation Network, led by the FCA, but now joined by over 60 regulators around the world for cross-border testing and cross-border issues and problems that where there is differences between regulators around the world and differences in law and differences in how businesses operate. So Tradle's already been proven in the financial services world for banks, insurers. We're partnered with the likes of PwC, alongside the likes of Alta Group, and we have do projects and work with the likes of World Bank and Inter-American Development Bank. So what we're aiming to achieve with the work we do with Alta Group is we want to make things streamlined and simple for participants in not just for KYC, but also your credit and compliance risk assessments, so that the whole end-to-end process of leasing. We make the implementation very easy. So yes, we're using SaaS, but this is private SaaS, where you're not sharing your information in one huge SaaS database. So this is your own private SaaS. We want to speed up your sales process. So making things fully digital means that you and your customer has a much faster journey. So what we're building, a lot of this is built already, and a lot of it is integration work as well, is the full cycle for digital leasing. So from your risk assessments to contracts and signing, integrating with best of breed for delivery and acceptance, billing, etc., and then handling the end of lease life and maintenance all through it. So this starts with a digital workflow. So together with Alan and the associates, we can define your industry standard processes in a digital form. We can match any requirements that the individual associates might have as a collective. We help you through the automation process discover risks automatically in your workflow, whilst complying with the regulations that you may have and also your internal compliance procedures. And creating you a perfect immutable audit trail. This is where blockchain technology comes in, but without actually putting any data on blockchain. We're just creating this perfect provable trail for you for all of your customer interactions. And this digital workflow will become the precursor to the move towards smart contracts. So what are smart contracts? They're a guaranteed contract. They're accurate, they're completely transparent, so both parties understand exactly what the binding agreement is. They enable you to have fully automated and digital dispute resolution. So no need for legal involvement because they're fully binding. And create a process for automated settlement. So speed up the process before, during, and after lease agreement. So at the core of starting a leasing process, we will collect digital identity and identification of individuals and companies. So this is a fully automated flow for the customers and for employees. So it works on any smartphone or the web browsers. So we're able to verify identities initially, detect fraud through remote fraud detection processes, not just for documents, but for people as well. So identify where people don't match their identity documents or where they're trying to fraudulently use someone else's identity document. This isn't just for individuals, this is for complex companies as well. So if a company has many layers, we can do the process for all of the entities and the persons involved. And meanwhile, employees in the leasing business can assist the customer on their digital journey. So KYC starts with a simple user application. So if you've used WhatsApp or any messaging application, this is very similar. You're just having a conversation with someone at the other end, but the difference is this creates forms. So you have forms for your process. So through our policies that we create with you, we can create a standard method for these interactions with the customer. So in the case of leasing, very similar to doing a customer onboarding, we want to make it as simple as possible for the customer to provide pieces of information, so it's as quick and effortless as possible for the customer. And then meanwhile, in the background, we're able to carry out risk assessments, credit risk checks, and all of the fraud detection checks automatically. So in this example showing on the right here, this is a customer just providing the very basics of information in a few minutes, and that could lead to them completing their full leasing application. So we integrate things like HS code classification and business classification and equipment classification as well. So for individuals, we include world-leading identity document capture. So we currently can currently support over 8,000 different types of identities, from passports, driving licenses, identity cards, and the list is growing as well. So government issued identification is covered virtually the world over. And as new documents come along, either new versions or older versions that need to be supported, they can be added very quickly as well. The platform on web and mobile works in over 100 languages, including at least three of the key languages in Nigeria. See that now. So once you define your customer journey with whatever the forms may be, this is then converted into the native languages that you need, without us having to touch databases or web code or mobile code or release new applications. It just works straight away. And in the case where you still require a physical wet signature, we enable you to have fully digital signatures. So this isn't just a scratch on the screen. This is detecting the acceleration, speed and acceleration of how you sign. So it's virtually as good as a fingerprint. We enable you to upload any type of document. So it could be used for capturing details from a bank card, but it could also be for capturing details from business documents, utility bills, or any other proof that might be required as part of your onboarding process. So staff get a web user interface as well, where they can carry out all of their risk assessments, a fully automated workflow for them, and tools to not only manage the process, but also have full, we call data lineage. So you have full proof if you then need to give proof to the regulators or compliance people. And same as for customers, it works as a mobile application for staff as well. So if you're working from home, which a lot of us are at the moment, you can carry out these processes from any device, web, mobile, tablet, etc. So I showed you it's a chat process. So we call this a transactional messenger. So every single interaction with the customer, either from the customer or to the customer, is recorded. And these transactions are sealed against the blockchain. So we're not putting data on blockchain, we're just putting a proof of a piece of information. So whether that's a form that's been submitted, or an identity document, or a contract that's been signed, all of these proofs are sealed on the blockchain. So you have one perfect, immutable audit trail of all the interactions with the customer. I mentioned policies earlier. We call this an e-policy. So we take the forms and the workflow and the process and procedures that you might have for onboarding customers, and we convert that into an e-policy. So the e-policy has all of your workflow. It has the rules. It has all of the forms that the customer might need to fill, and from this e-policy, we generate everything. So we generate the user interface, we generate the database requirements, and where applicable, we generate a data lake as well, where we can put reference data that is used as part of the onboarding process. So with the change in privacy and security for private data, Tradle has taken the next step into fully decentralizing our SaaS solution. So this isn't one SaaS database that we have access to or control. Every MyCloud, we call our clouds MyCloud because it becomes your cloud. Every MyCloud is owned by the leasing business or the bank or whichever business is going to run MyCloud. So you launch it, it requires zero maintenance or support. It's fully managed by the cloud provider, and there's not even any running software for anyone to worry about. It is just a fully serverless environment. And this environment enables us not only to provide a fully scalable solution for you, but it gives the customers that assurance that their data isn't being leaked to any third party, and there's no one place where everyone can be hacked. This is a next generation for security and cloud services. So we're interested in building a future in leasing with you, where we can help to redefine how leasing agreements are put together, but in a digital format. We want to help reduce risk for you and your customers. We want to make it as fast and painless as possible. And then we want to build on the future of smart contracts, where you have very fast dispute resolution or instant dispute resolution. But also this needs to comply with regulators, local regulation, and also your local requirements in each of your leasing businesses. And do this in a smooth and increasingly cost-effective manner for your businesses. That's about it for the presentation. So this is just a summary of the regulatory engagement that we've had around the world. We can give you details of this later. And there's a little summary, some of the things that we've been involved in over the last 4 years, who's written about us, and awards that we've won. So I'd like to hand over to Jean now, do you want to add anything?
Before Jean, if I may, before Jean comes into scene, I wanted to underscore one thing that I didn't highlight at the beginning. One of the main reasons why we chose Tradle is because of the economic accessibility of their solution. I mean, there are a lot of software providers in the market that charge very high fees for the licenses and require very complex implementation processes. We have had the chance to work with Tradle several pilot programs. When, for example, in this slide is perfect, the e-policy, we share with them some leasing application forms using by some of our clients, and they converted into a digital application that can enable to work the whole process very smoothly using all these technologies that are today, biometrics, the scanning of the pictures, everything else. So that is probably the most interesting part. And the second part, and I think that Jean is going to tell us a little bit more about that, is the use of blockchain. Blockchain is certainly the technology of the present and the future. It is going to become the standard for everything. And if you ask me as a lawyer, it's a terrific way of gathering evidence. It's the best way to gathering evidence. So I think that what this solution provides has two advantages: accessibility and a very robust solution. So Jean, you can tell us a little bit how you started. Of course, it's very interesting because the starting process of Tradle come in the domain of anti-money laundering, which, by the way, is a main concern of all of us, and clearly in West Africa is one key concern. They started with that, and they are very, very robust and very solid in that. But also we took advantage to bring them into the whole win-to-win process of the leasing business. So Jean, please go ahead.
Thank you, Rafael. Thank you, Simon. On the KYC side, KYC AML is a challenge for every country in the world. And today, despite all the efforts of the organization that mandates that around the world, FATF, the standard setter and the enforcer for all countries around the world, despite all their efforts, around $2 trillion are still money laundered every year, and only 0.2% are being caught. And this is statistics collected by United Nations. So we clearly, collectively, are not doing enough to catch bad actors. And digital technology is key enabler for us to do better. And blockchain, like Rafael said, is the essential technology to fight the crime, to fight corruption, to fight fraud. We've presented the mechanism on how to collect evidence, like Rafael said, collect evidence in the private way, like Simon said, so that you're not putting all the evidence in one pool and then the whole country can be hacked by hacking just one agency, like happened in the United States, like happened in the UK. We came into this industry understanding that data security is of utmost concern for everyone, for the governments, for the businesses. With Bob Trojan, he brought us into the data security working group for large intergovernmental organizations, where we advised on segregating the data. Data cannot be put all in one pot, which unfortunately a lot of companies nowadays are doing. This is when they introduce SaaS, software as a service, that Simon spoke about. They introduce a ease of handling, the very simple billing structure, and at the same time they put all the data in one place. That's why Simon emphasized several times that we do first ease of servicing, very easy billing, no upfront costs, like Rafael said. But we are not putting all the data in one place. And this is how we engineered our system. Very, very important. And this is not the first time we've done that. In the past, for 10 years, we ran a supply chain management company where we also segregated the data. We never had a centralized point, and in all 10 years of its operations, we never had data breaches. And it operated over 20 countries, moved $1 billion worth of goods, and digitized all of the processes. We got rid of all the paper, emails, faxes, everything. So it was all the processes were handled through the system. And we're using the same approach in KYC. It's a digital business network, multiple participants, coordinated via the blockchain, but each operating independently. And that's the main principle of operations. So supply chain approach to KYC, if you wish. And the way we designed this process is we realized that a lot of organizations have certain governance protocols. KYC is one set of governance protocols, but leasing is another set of governance protocols. But we designed it in a generic way, so we can cover any kind of protocols that you can create a structure over, certain rules over, certain types of data that you want to collect and process and verify. And this is why Rafael and Juan and the whole organization of Alta Group realized that they can utilize that mechanism that we use for KYC today and won #1 awards around the world for, but we can use that for leasing. And we can use it for end-to-end digitization of the process of leasing. And as you understand, when you digitize the process, when human-made decisions are less frequent, there's less possibility for fraud. And fraud happens everywhere. It happens on the customer side. It also happens, as we know, on the employee side. But if decisions are being made more digitally, if there is a structure to making a decision, if employees have to follow the steps, and if they are warned up front that every action of theirs is recorded with the evidence that is sealed over the blockchain, cannot be modified afterwards, then employees have to be a lot more careful. And everyone, customers as well. So everyone is being put on record, but records are private, they're sealed, they are very privacy focused and managed for customers themselves. Customers own their own data, they own the verifications of their data. So all of that creates a lot more trust in the system. And that's what regulators want. They want trust, stability in the system. And that's what we provide to them. That's why they like when we bring that kind of technology into the country. Maybe one more point Simon, can you bring up the presentation and show the slide 21? Because Juan and Rafael remind me to emphasize that point every time. Maybe not 21. Go further where you show the different data sources on the right side that we integrate with, where you spoke about, over here. So on the right side of the slide, it is very important that data not only automatically gathered from customers as much as possible and digitally verified, but they also verified against all kinds of registries, whether it's registries of companies, registries of identity data. Also, according to the leasing law, there has to be a registry of assets or leased assets. So whatever registries are being put in place in the country, we integrate with those registries, and that includes privately managed registries or even sources of data that you've accumulated within your companies. So we would integrate with those as well to create fully digital process with all the systems that you already have in place integrated with. So you don't have to replace all the things that you've developed already, polished, and that they're working. So that's the last point that I wanted to make.
Thank you, Gene. Well, I have been told that there are many people that have been having trouble connecting. and I see that some of you arrive a little bit late, and I apologize for that. I think that Zoom, which is a good technology, is not perfect, and sometimes even with the link and the password information, the system may not work very well. That's unfortunate. But having said this, I would like, if it's possible, to open for questions. I think that we can use the advantage of having Jean and Simon, among others, here, and it will be the right moment to entertain questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Castillo, and Mr. Simon and Mr. Jean. Thank you so much for the presentation. Well, we have few of our members here. We have Mr. Douglas Okoje. We have Mr. Fasakin Olayemi and Akupai. And also we have Jacob Habo and Lauren Zero Way. So I believe that we'll, well, at least we'll have one or two questions, clarifications we need to, get it done out. So please, the floor is yours. Please just ask your questions and get the clarification from them, please. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well,
just try to unmute yourself.
Okay. In the meantime, I want to tell everyone that this is being recorded, so we will share the recording of this presentation for whoever arrived later or whoever wants to double check the information provider, and also the PowerPoint presentation. The slides are going to be shared with you as well.
Okay. All right. Time for questions. Please go ahead.
Seems that everyone is in mute.
Okay.
Well, but let me just kind of in a way ask a question, and it's a question for everyone, because one of the things that I have seen is that there had been a great expectation in Nigeria about the implementation of the registration authority, the equipment registration authority that was created by the Equipment Leasing Act of 2015. And all of us know that all these implementations respond to a lot of issues that has to do with politics. And now, of course, after the COVID-19, when the public finances are going to be even more crippled than in the past, this kind of investment in creating registration authorities become more and more remote. So the question goes, and I have been asking myself that kind of question, because there has been, of course, a priority in many other countries, and say, why do I need the registration authority to be up and going? And the answer that I give to that question is because I want to have data gathered that will help me to enforce my rights. And the next question is, well, if I don't have the registration authority up and running, what can I do on a private level? Should I be able to create my own data? Could I be able, using the association, for example, to create a centralized repository of information, the same kind that we wanted the government registration authority to provide? So that's one of the questions. So please go ahead. I think that someone has a question now.
Mr. Douglas.
Okay, yeah. Hello.
Hello,
yeah,
please.
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Raphael, thank you for your lecture. I'm more bothered. You actually opened something in me that has triggered my thinking myself, because on the device, there's a KYC on the blockchain technology on your slide. There's a KYC end of it. The question then is, if it's not linked to any back-end data, how do you know that this prospective client is not toxic in nature, that has several debt left, right, center? It puts you as a prospective owner of this asset, or as a prospective lessor, in crisis. So the question then is, from your own jurisdiction, how does it work, the KYC end of it?
Okay, let me provide one part of that, and then I will ask Jean to help on that. Well, you know, KYC starts, of course, when you bring on board your client, but it should go all up, as you very well mentioned, up to the end of the lease as well. I mean, it will provide to you information that goes beyond the basic information that you get when you get your client on board. Typically, and Jean, I think he's going to explain a little bit what happened in the typical onboarding process. I mean, when the customer is coming on board. But your question goes to a very good point, which is once I have my customer on board, how can I really develop the data, the information that I need to get, and it's going to be useful for me at the end of the lease? And that's interesting. My perspective and I believe the experience on that is that the good thing about data is that data fits itself. I mean, what we are doing today at this moment is data. We are creating exchange of knowledge, exchange of information. Every behavior from your customer is data. Every interaction that they have with their customers is data. The way and the banks with whom they work, which provide payments to you, is that kind of data. And the point is that if you are able to capture that data, if the system is able to give you an interpretation, a business intelligence in terms of what that data means for you whenever you need to really use this data for your benefit. And we talk about dispute resolution. Dispute resolution means the customer stops paying you, he doesn't want to return the equipment. How can you move into that direction? And if you have data, you have certainly much more weapons to be able to enforce your rights. But Jean, I leave to you the technical part to explain that.
Sure. It's actually a very good question. And we didn't show this in the presentation today, but the way we achieve the fraud detection is the following. There are many steps. One of them is we scan the ID document, or actually we give customer a mobile device through, or app on a mobile device that scans the ID document. Simon said we recognize 8,000 different types of documents. So if there is any artificial change in that document, any fraudulent change in that document, we will very likely detect that. We use AI on a mobile device, artificial intelligence on a mobile device, and on the server side with several different providers to verify whether this document was authentic. That's number one. Number two, we ask the customer to show their face in front of the camera, and we match that face to the photograph on the government-issued ID. That's number two. We ensure that the coverage is significant. So any kind of ID that is government-issued, that is passport, ID card, driver license, in circulation, or maybe the one issued 5 years earlier, will be accepted. That's another important part. Then we detect whether the person in front of the camera was not just a photograph or a video of a customer, but actual live face. And we use that with the NIST certified. We use the detection via the NIST certified process, where all the vendors had to be certified for detection 100% of all the possible fraud presentation. So this is NIST is the National Institute of Standards in America that is certifying vendors around the world and creating standards for detection of fraud in digital remote identity verification scenarios, right? This is not yet all. Then every time we use AI, and we use AI, artificial intelligence, in 7 different fraud detection scenarios, every time AI is setting the score, how well it assessed the risk. And if the risk is too high, we present it to your people for verification. So we flag it. So instead of you verifying everything yourself, we only give you, your staff, to verify things that are exceptions. And the bulk of the things we handle via AI. Then another step, we go against the registries and we verify whenever there is a registry, right? And we verify data against the registry. Sometimes more than one registry. So if there is an error in one registry, we can check it against another registry. So registries could be government held, could be a private entity like a credit bureau. We integrated with a number of credit bureaus, or it could be your own gray list. In some countries, in some countries around the world, the businesses themselves have created blacklists or gray lists of customers that they have seen that are fraudulent. Sometimes they share those lists with others. In the UK, for example, we connected with the association-based registry, where different participants in the association have submitted to association the list of fraudulent identities for companies and individuals that they have seen in the past. And this way, association helps everyone become safer. So with all those measures, we detect fraud and therefore make your operations more secure. But very, very important point, and we emphasized blockchain today several times. If we tell the customers that they go on record when they present their documentation, it by itself serves as a fraud deterrent. And a lot of customers would say that are trying to do something fishy, they would say, I'm afraid to do that. So they will withdraw. And this is very, very important. And this is why regulators like a lot, and businesses like a lot, our system that we've created. AI and blockchain and the use of the cloud technology to keep it all separated out in digital islands that only you have access to, you and your staff, but not other people in the association, right? So separation, segregation of data. So all of those 3 technologies allow us to create a much more robust fraud detection process. Hope I answered your question. That was.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I think it's well explained now. I understand how it works and have an idea now. I'm very grateful.
Good. Jim, there is another question here from Mr. Ogunogo. Is the platform open to local APIs, customizations?
Yes.
And if yes, how is the process? So if you can elaborate on that, you and Simon, that would be great. Thank you.
Simon, would you take that same slide that I mentioned, that I asked you to bring up before, and maybe speak about it?
Yeah, I believe that the short answer is yes, at least. But
yes.
But I think that the important part is how this is easy, the process, and how you can really adapt that to your APIs, your existing APIs and procedures.
Yeah, so the goal is to integrate with all common platforms. So that's why we want to discover what are the key common platforms that you may all be using or wish to use in the future. So Tradle is an open architecture. We have a pluggable architecture where we can build plugins for other platforms. So it might be your ERP platform, might be CRM, accounting, billing, etc. So that is the team of developers that's built Tradel in the first place. They have 25 years of experience in building integrations with financial platforms and other platforms. So we can very quickly turn around an integration. It really does depend on the level of integration required, but we see in most cases it's a very quick process for us to carry out those integrations. So did you have any specific integrations that you're interested in?
I think that the question is, you know, what will be the local APIs that will be needed to integrate? What I in general have as an idea, which is important, is that this application can work regardless of whether or not you have legacy systems. I mean, you may be having everything manual, for example. You can use the application and probably connect that to whatever Microsoft Excel or whatever you use for managing your data. Now, if you have already a system in place, let's say SAP, Oracle, Salesforce.com, or anything more specific, more localized, as Simon mentioned, I mean, you just need to plug this into the system, and it's going to be a very easy process in general. I think that you are ready to do that connection without creating major problems, without investing a lot of money in technicians and everything else in order to make that happen. And that's I don't know if it's accurate. You know, again, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a systems expert, but I believe, Simon, that could be the case.
Let me add a couple of words. Like Simon said, we have an expertise, world-class expertise in this space. I was running in my previous corporate position, I was running a division of a global enterprise software company in New York that, and my division has done integrations. That was our mission in life, to do integrations with all the backends, all the legacy systems, databases, transactional systems that existed in Fortune 500 companies. And we did integrations with 90% of backends of Fortune 500 companies. So there's an expertise there, and some of the members of our team actually work with me in on those integrations. So that said, integrations is one part, and ability to do them fast is one part. And Simon mentioned that we have a plugin architecture that allows us to execute on those integrations fast. But very important other part is to present them in a unified process. And that's what we have in the system. Integrations are very specific, but then on the screen, you will have a unified workflow process. And that's very, very important, because then you can replace some of the integrations, but system can operate and it can be familiar still to all the people that operating this system. So all of the people that are going to be managing that workflow, managing operations, they will have one unified system. Although in one particular case, there could be 2 or 3 different integrations, but the uniformity of the system will allow it to be very easily managed. Good.
Do we have any other question? I'm looking at the chat. If anyone else has a question. Well, if not, then Ify, I can transfer the baton to you.
All right, thank you so much.
The floor is still ours. Please just still go ahead and ask the questions. If there's no, probably I think we should move ahead. Mr. Castillo.
Okay. Yes. Well,
all right,
so Juan, are you going to ask something?
No, well, I just wanted to make a note in terms of what Jean and Simon are telling about integration. No, it's the ability to integrate different processes. No, for example, well, yeah, we are talking a lot about smart contracts, no, and customer know your customer and signature, and also the ability to, for example, if you have like different processes, for example, delivery and acceptance, no, is you have someone sign that he received the equipment, no, that's a process that in several cases requires a different person from the person that's signing the contract, the leasing contract. Well, you can add a loop there with where the person that signs that has the power to sign a contract can include another person of his organization to receive the equipment, no, and that's done seamlessly. You know, it's I find the ability to integrate different processes really amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, so if I may, if there is no further questions.
Yeah, I actually want to like clarify some things that you made mention of. The actually the one of the charges you talked about some, you have so many solutions that people, you know, they charge and all that, and very complex. So, you know, our members, they would like to like know how the charges will be like, because everybody would like the cost management and all that. So because they would like to know what they are going into and all that. So I would like to just throw more light on how the charge is going to be for them, looking at their own side.
You want to answer that question, Jean?
So let me see if I understood the question correctly. If you're talking about the chat, the conversation with the customer, right?
Charges, the fees.
The charges.
Charges. I see. Yeah. Okay. Understood. The beauty of the SaaS model, software as a service model, is that it doesn't include the CapEx, the large component of purchasing the software up front and amortization of that software later on. The billing model is OpEx, meaning it's operational expenses. As you go, as you use the system, you pay for the system. So that billing model is advantageous for the customers like yourself, like members of this association, and that's why SaaS model is winning the whole world. Today, cloud business is $260 billion business around the world. 100 billion of that is SaaS business because it's such an easy billing model, such an easy model for the customers to afford. So when we engaged with the Alta Group, Rafael was insisting, Jean, Simon, you need to make sure that you're going to offer the system on pay-per-use basis, and will limit as much as possible any upfront charges. So we don't have any setup fees for this system, and the amount of charges upfront are only related to the amount of integrations that we need to do. And we can launch the system even without any integrations. So no charges upfront altogether. And then later on, add one by one integrations that you would need, spreading out the costs for you. And making you operate more efficiently, so you're getting return on investment as soon as possible. Then another very important point, the charges are connected to the amount of business you're going to do on the system. If you're doing little business on the system, you're going to be charged less. If you're doing more business on the system, you're going to be charged more, but you're going to generating a lot more revenue if you're using the system this way. So that's the way the SaaS model in general works.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why we ask that to Tradle is because we know that in our pricing exercise with our clients, if we can embody the cost of the software, or the use of the software in the cost of the transaction, it's easier for us to recover that. It's easier for us as leasing companies. We have been following, that the leasing companies actually need to become very efficient in how they have their fixed costs and their overhead low. And in general, all the cost that could be recoverable from the transaction is the best investment. And so the ideal scenario that we wanted to build with Tradle is that the software pays by itself, that we don't need to be rich to be able to have access to the software, but just by doing business, we are able to recover that. And that's in general the proposition for the charges. How these charges are going to be in real life specifically, well, I think that it is going to depend on the scope of the application. Is going to depend on the number of operations, number of transactions that are performed by each company. But I think that is something that we can really fine tune. And that goes to what I was going to suggest as a next step, which is as we did with Tradle at the beginning, we work on a pilot program. The pilot program started sharing our leasing application, our internal processes to board a customer, our credit underwriting process, and all that. We wanted the Tradle to provide us the digital solution as a pilot program, because that also will enable us to give an idea, okay, how much resources need to be invested in providing a solution in order to give a precise cost per transaction. Because of course it depends on the scope. We may have, for example, only use Tradle for just doing the check of anti-money laundering, just the know your customer, no more than that. We may need the Tradle system to also perform the credit underwriting process, and eventually to use credit scoring systems that could be either proprietary or any credit scoring system existing in the market, like the Moody's analytics and all this kind of stuff. So everything is going to vary, but I would suggest that this pilot program that the association could coordinate would be a good way to see this put into reality. And having said this, we have another question here, which is, can the platform be used for underwriting other lending business? Please answer that, Gene.
Yeah, let me take that. 1 second. Let me show you this slide. So we created our KYC process to be absolutely unique on the market. And its uniqueness, it's the breadth of different financial services types of onboardings that we cover. And in that, I'm proud to say that we're the only KYC company on the market that is able to handle every type of client, from individual to sole proprietorship to small business to the corporate, and different types of those customers in different scenarios. And those are what you see on the screen right now. Those are all the things that we've already done in various pilot projects in the engagements with different banks around the world. So yes, the answer, short answer, like Rafael is saying, short answer is yes, absolutely. we can handle not only leasing, we can handle loans, we can handle different types of arrangements that you might have on the market, combinations of those, insurance, because it's important for many cases in leasing that there is an insurance component for loans as well. We did combinations, for example, of mortgage and insurance, where it strengthens both programs because one feeds into another for discovery of fraud. There's a digital sharing of documentation between insurance and mortgage so that overlapping processes don't need to happen. So yes, absolutely. And again, maybe to add, it doesn't mean that we'll focus just on compliance component. We'll focus on digitization of the whole process. And that means, for example, insurance contract. That means mortgage contract, commercial or residential. So absolutely full digitization with the e-policies as our foundational technology and the underlying blockchain, AI, and cloud enabling that e-policy to operate.
Now that you mentioned that, I want to share with everyone that one of the projects that we are currently developing internally with Tradle is the smart leasing contract. It has been a dream of mine for many years because having a smart leasing contract has an advantage. Number one, by definition, a smart contract is a self-executing contract, meaning we don't need to go to a court to execute the contract, to make possible that the parties comply with that. Of course, that has complexities, but the advantage of that is that the use of the blockchain enables us to provide that solution. Does it mean that we don't need the intervention of the courts at all? Well, no, certainly no, because at a certain point of time, people may go to the courts to keep disputing, especially when we need to go out to the outside space of the blockchain to repossess the equipment, for example, or to garnish funds from the customer if they have that. But the combination of the Secure Transactions Act, the combination of the Leasing Act, allow us to speed up the process of recovery and repossession and exercising our remedies. And that's where we are working on to make sure that we can have this kind of self-executable contracts using the Tradle technology to the extent possible. Because again, we still have a lot of different issues. One of the issues we have is how we connect the payment chain with the blockchain. If you use cryptocurrency, you can do that. But if you are connected, as most of the clients are connected to the banking system, so we need to have an alternative solution to that. And in a way, is playing the game out of the playing field, going outside of the blockchain to integrate something like, for example, a bank account to the blockchain system. But this is one of the things that we are currently working on, because our aim is to try to speed up the efficiency of our investment in terms of making the cash-to-cash cycle the fastest as possible. So we need to be able to get more business because we are fast to make a decision and close the deal. We can also track the equipment from the time when the supplier manufactured and delivered the equipment, and using that blockchain enable us to be more efficient and to provide the solution to the customer in real time. And not only that, we can, for example, using the smart contracts, we can really be safe to pay advance payments to the suppliers if we know that using a smart contract, we are protected for any advance that we do. So there are many applications that we can really use on these that are going to make our business much faster, much more efficient, and minimize our losses and probably improve a lot of our profitability in several areas, like the equipment, residual gains, and so on.
So basically, maybe to add one more note, when people ask if I still need to use my staff, my employees, while you're using AI, what gain does it give me? And we are saying 90%, maybe 95% of the processes will be digitized, and only exceptions are processed by your employees. That means you can have your employees process a lot higher volume of business and make your business a lot more profitable. And that goes to the same that Rafael was just describing with the smart contracts. You can process bulk of different disputes and leave some only smaller portion to the courts. And this way, again, you make your business a lot more efficient, a lot more cost effective.
So going back to our next steps, I think that we may coordinate. You may want to ask any volunteer if they want to digitize and come into the e-policy on a pilot program basis. You know, their customer onboarding, their checks for example, for know your customer plus the credit application. In a way, something similar to what Simon is showing in his presentation. Because you are going to see, it will be an application that could be specific to the company that volunteers to do that, and we'll see how that works in real life. So we can have this kind of pilot approach, and based upon that, then we can move forward to make that more specific, implemented to the affiliates.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Good.
I think we're done today, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So
okay, if there's no more questions from people.
No, I don't see further questions, but if there are other questions, then I think that if you can gather them, and the contact information from Jean and Simon is also going to be provided. And we are going to share, of course, the slides if anyone wants to double check that. And as soon as we have this recording, I will make that recording available to you so that you can also share with not only the existing participants, but also all the persons who missed the opportunity to get connected. So I want to thank you for the time of everyone, and I hope that this is going to be useful for you in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Hans, Mr. Simon, and the team, and also our members that are actually participated here. Well, we shall be following up on the next line of action, like you said. We will coordinate and try to implement it and all that. We believe that these solutions will improve processes and cost savings in our operation. So thank you so much, and just enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Same
to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Nice to meet you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.